Welcome back to another episode of Shut Up and Enjoy Podcast, where we signed up for this shit is the tagline of this week. I'm one of your hosts, not the Dark Jedi, joined with my co-host, taking the bearish vow. Oh my God, I can't. Sometimes I just can't. This week's episode was back in, I guess, modern time. Trying to do a quick recap. Was back in the modern timeline of the rest of the series. So it was not another 16-year time jump. It is of both Team May and Team Osha trying to get to Kalnaka, the Wookiee Jedi Master who is one of the four with Endara, Torben, Saul, and him. We see a few interesting things in this episode from Jedi that I was not expecting.
Very nice cameo there.
Yeah. To politics that, okay, come on. Like, are you asking for the Sith to come back? Because this is how the Sith comes back.
And I think this is kind of leading into what we see 100 years from now, right?
Yeah.
Because again, with the Jedi, with their hubris and their secretive ways and don't want to tell what's going on, this is how we ended up with the Emperor.
What I think is the most interesting part about this series is, so as you guys know, I'm reading the High Republic books and seeing, I know there's still a lot more that I have to read in it. There's another like 8 books I have to hit out. But seeing how Vernestra Rowe, the Green Jedi, how her demeanor has changed so much from those books to now. She is the grown-up. She's not the child anymore. She's not the child prodigy Jedi Knight at 16, Padawan at 17. There's definitely a weight that she's carrying around. And you see that a lot in this episode. Why didn't you tell me there was a chance the girl was alive? Why? And very, very corporate politics of her. Which I don't, it's interesting. It was an interesting choice, but I don't know if I like the choice.
It seems to me that most all the Jedi, once they get to that certain level, become that same way. So perhaps that is just a association breeds assimilation type thing.
But what about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
Lots of I think the main thing I texted you last night after the episode was that there was a lot of walking and a lot of talking in this episode. It was beautiful landscape. Wherever the hell they filmed it was freaking fantastic. Beautiful.
A lot of that was on site in Wales, I believe.
Beautiful.
Like the big mountain ranges, the Fellowship of the Ring scene. And all y'all know exactly which scene I'm talking about. The Fellowship of the Ring scene was filmed in Wales, but then immediately once they got into the forest, it's like, oh, we're back on the studio now.
Right. Definitely, everything was all condensed, and they weren't spread out, and it was, you could tell the big difference between the two areas there. But again, it was that part of it was beautiful when they were doing the walking and talking, but it was just weird to see. Again, we don't have a lot of, there's no for time in most of this. If we skip last week's episode and go back to where we ended episode 2, okay, our main Jedi forces made it back to Coruscant. They're training. I guess there was some talking going on there. and Osha decides that she's gonna bounce. Hey, deuces. Hey, May's your problem now. I ain't got nothing to do with that. We look alike, but that's about it. I'm out. You guys handle it. And then we see May and oh shit, Query, whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah, him.
They make it
Good place.
to they make it there looking for the Wookiee. They all did it for the Wookiee, by the way. So they made it there to uh to look for Kanaka. And then all of a sudden the Jedi turn around and also going to bring Kanaka home. I mean, they couldn't just call him and like, hey.
Well, they did say they've tried to reach out to him, but he didn't respond.
At
And
that
no
point,
one
how did they
heard,
even know he was alive or anything?
and no one heard from him for over a year, I think. Like, okay, so you have a Jedi Master who's off in the wilderness that you haven't heard from in over a year, and you're now just maybe thinking about saying sup.
Right. All because a couple other Jedi have been getting.
Now, if he was an actual wayfinder
Hmm.
that could lead credence to why they didn't hear from him, but it's still a bit of a stretch because it was never confirmed that he was a wayfinder.
Right. We don't know much of anything about him, really. We know he tinkered with speeder bikes, but
Yes,
that's about it.
yes.
So we don't know. Maybe this will come out in the future. They still have to explain everything that really happened 16 years ago. They haven't
Yeah,
even gotten to that yet. So that still needs to be explained and talked about. So perhaps over the next 4 episodes, we'll find out.
but we are halfway through an 8 episode series, and there are still so many questions of plot and character motivation, and
What are we doing here? Is
I'm
probably
getting
the
nervous. Like it's it's like they had the story they wanted to tell, but they're just not doing a good job of it. I don't know if it's the writing or what, but it's just, and I don't know how much Filoni actually had part in this, where if he was going to, like, if he was actually a full producer hands-on with this, or if he's just producer in name only. Um, because I know there's a big critique of Filoni isn't that great at storytelling. Like
well,
he has general ideas, but when it comes to actually weaving them together, it's inconsistent and almost lackadaisical and not original.
well, to that end, he didn't write this. So there may be something to be said for that. Um, Looking on the outside of Disney Plus and the shows that they put on, we know that they don't have quote unquote showrunners. So there's not one person that kind of puts everything in
Mhm.
place and make sure that we get from A to Z and go step by step and make it all make sense. And again, I hate to compare to other shows, but I mean, you kind of have to because this in the last week we've had The Boys come back, we've had House of the Dragon come back, and just again, hate to do it, but if you compare those shows, just
Yeah.
storytelling, just how it's filmed, how it makes sense compared to this, it goes back to that question I said in the beginning, what are we doing here? What story are you trying to tell, and in what way are you trying to tell it? If we just take these 4 episodes
Yeah.
in a vacuum, just these 4 episodes, we talked about before, a lot of the critics and people got a chance to see these 4 episodes all together at one time.
Mm.
And at that point, they determined that, hey, this show looks like it's going to be pretty good. We saw the first 2 episodes. We were thrilled. All right, go, let's rock and roll. Then we got to episode 3, and it was a big letdown. We're hoping for a bounce back with episode 4, and I don't think we got that. It wasn't as bad as episode 3, but that's not saying all that much. And
Yes,
then,
saying spilled pizza on the ground is better than a pile of shit in your kitchen.
right,
Well, yeah, but like I'm still crying because I spilled the pizza.
right, right. So it's again, at, these next 4 episodes may knock it out the park and change our view on the whole series. It's possible. It's also possible that these next 4 episodes can be total dog shit, and we would have wasted. I don't know. These episodes are short, so we would have wasted 2 hours of our life on
Yeah.
on this series. Um, Speaking of short episode, it at the end of it was
Right when it was possibly going to start to get exciting, it's like, and we're out.
and done and scene. It's like, what the hell, man? so so that was quite disappointing right when we got to it. I guess thinking about that, so our the 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 Sith, or the Dark Jedi, or the evil person.
The faction, the splinter
Yeah,
cell
because
is
now
what
they're just throwing out everything on this, right?
I think
And I
Kiadi
think,
Moody said it was like a splinter faction of the Force or something. It's like,
yeah, now they're just trying
okay, don't
everything.
worry about the droid attack on the Wookiees and your 4 wives.
They're
Wait, hold
trying
on. Before I
everything.
get yelled
Sure.
at, Kiadi Mundi's species is endangered. And so he actually was one of the few Jedi who was allowed to get married. He had 4 wives, he had 7 children in order to be able to help preserve his species. That was not a misogynistic or stupid ass comment like that. So just context, people.
Very good, very good. Thank you for explaining, because a lot of people probably didn't get that, but that's okay.
Because I love
Um,
Jedi.
and that's also, speaking of him, that's also how we get to kind of trying to preserve what he said in the prequels, that you know
Darth
the Sith
Vader.
haven't been seen for millennia. Again, I think one thing that many in the fandom, and many of us, I guess we could say, just like the book that was written from a certain point of view, everyone is having their theories from a certain point of view. Perhaps that is what he thought. He said that. That doesn't just because he said it, and that's because that's what he thought, didn't make it true.
And
That's just
al-
what he thought.
and also let's keep in mind he's not on the High Council right now. He and Plo Koon are not on the High Council.
Right.
Because when they're talking around the war table, the hollow table, Renestra says, no, we're not going to tell the High Council because then they have to go tell the Republic, and we don't want to make our enemies greater.
Stronger. Right.
Which is very similar to what Yoda said.
How about that? The Jedi just keep wanting to keep secrets, which ultimately leads to their downfall, which kind of happens in real life as well. Just saying.
I feel like we need to talk offline. Um, so let's try to find some positives in this.
Sure. Well, I said it was a beautiful scene walking through the
it looks
hillside
nice.
of Wales.
Whales, yeah. Um, the actual introduction of the Sith Lord
Oh,
of the Dark Jedi, because it's
coming down,
been for a millennia.
entering the
In
scene.
the background, as the visuals of she's looking at Kalnaka, the sun is setting. There's a lot of that sunset
Yes. A
visuals
lot of imagery on sunsets in
in
this episode.
Star Wars. So the sun setting as she's seeing Kalnaka, then you flash from May to Osha, who's looking back at the Jedi because the Jedi are going to Kalnaka's ship and she's behind him. And then you see it, and blurred in the background, you see the Sith come down, almost eminent. And I think it was Screen Crush. Ryan Airy mentioned this. Very eminent of Alien
Mm-hmm.
when you first see the xenomorph
Yep.
come down and is introduced. It was menacing. You could
Mm-hmm.
feel fear in that scene. I
Yes.
think that was acted very well. I think the way that they made contact with the Jedi was very well done, and especially with Soul's line of "What are you?"
Mm-hmm.
Meaning like species amorphous night sister lesbian witches that are pissing everyone off, ghosty person thing. Um, like Sith, like what is the
What's happening? Yes.
Saul is actually asking about?
Yeah.
So I think that was well done.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ryan Airy was not on his game when he said they were the orange lightsabers, like Balin Skull
Shin Hati.
and Shin Hati and Shin Hati had. They were yellow sabers. They were Jedi Sentinels. They're not the same color at all. So that was just wrong. That
That's okay. That's okay.
it is, but for some reason it was like that seems like a very obvious thing that he shouldn't have missed. So
We no judgment here.
I'm not saying we're better than them, but I can't truthfully say we aren't. Um, yeah, that was good. It was fun to see all the Jedi strike up their lightsabers. They waited until Saul did it, kind of their leader. The
Mm-hmm.
leader of the mission did it. Then all the other troops sabered up. It was cool to see yellow, green, blue, all that stuff. And I think next episode we might get Vernestra
Oh, with the whip
coming in
saber.
because with the whip saber, because she in the trailer she's on a forest planet when she throws it up and activates the whip.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I feel like you know what might go sideways with this fight. Um,
Well, there were a lot of red shirts there, a lot of
yeah,
unnamed random Jedi.
I was kind of hoping one of them would be Stellan Gios, um,
Yeah.
another one from the High Republic books who's hot shit and all that stuff, and got very entwined in the politics of the Jedi. Um, but then but hates it. Um, yeah, I just that was cool. That's what I got.
That's what you got.
That's what I got.
It was
Uh,
again, it was the final 2 minutes of the show were by far the best 2 minutes of the show, and then it just fade to black. We're done here.
Yord pissed me off a little bit.
He seems like he's gonna do that every episode until he's ultimately murdered.
Yeah, yeah. Like I get that he's a sentinel and he's supposed to be like the law officers of the Jedi, but come on, you trained with her for how long? Like just because she's not a Jedi doesn't mean she's not trustworthy. Like, I just writing someone off like that seems like an absolute.
Yeah, and it's also weird because they keep mentioning that they did come up together before she ultimately left, which they haven't even explained why she left, but that's
Yeah.
neither here nor there. But we'll probably never get that. But um so it's kind of weird that he keeps wanting to, you know, kind of like put her down. I can understand in the beginning when you initially thought that she was murdering Jedi, okay, fine. But now it's kind of like, all right, dude, what's the problem?
Like, what's
What?
this really about?
Yeah. All right. So
I
do
don't.
you think Kamir is that Sith or that what are you evil thing? You don't want to commit to it because this is recorded. This is on the interweb, so it'll be there forever.
I Part of me thinks, is this the most Disney move that Disney could do in a Disney thing about Disney people that Disney owns for Disney's intellectual property? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this absolutely could I see him being uh the Dark Jedi. The questions he was asking, all, but like, then the other half of my brain is saying, well, of course they were going to set it up so everyone thinks that he is, and all of that speech was a red herring of like, how are you going to kill him and what's it like? I'm saying no.
I I want it so bad to be no, just because it's been in our faces from the beginning. I just want I I I wouldn't even be mad if they flipped it and he's actually the acolyte, but he's just getting her to do all his fucking dirty work. I would even take that. But for him to be the bad dude with the lightsaber, with the mask, all that,
Especially also to
I
have
don't
Plo
want it.
Koon on that mission.
What's that again?
Especially also to have Plo Koon on that mission.
Well, was it him or was it just someone from his species?
I thought I read that it was him. Um, was it Plo Koon?
Googling it.
Um,
But either way,
or the yeah.
so the reason I question is because we know we know he if that is him, we know he survives this mission. Um,
But then we
but
also
I think all those extra Jedi are there
to die.
to die. They are the red shirts.
If it,
I was trying to explain that to my son the other day
the red
what a
shirt,
red shirt is, and he just was not on it. But no one has a red shirt on, Dad. What are you saying? Listen, it's from Star Trek. It's a whole thing.
the other star thing.
Uh, but the reason why I think this is because they sent what was it, 8 Jedi, 9 Jedi.
Oh, I remember I counted.
The mission was to bring Kalnaka home. The mission was not to fight May or fight anybody else. Their mission was to bring Kalnaka home. They didn't know May was going to be there. The mission was to get him before May found him. So why are you sending
An army.
basically a whole freaking platoon to bring him home? So that's what I thought was a little weird to have so many people. So my thought is that okay, all these other people are cannon fodder. They'll be
Red
they'll
shirt.
be They gone.
Bye, Felicia.
They ain't getting back on that ship. Basically.
Not with a beating heart, at least.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So where do we think this is gonna go?
I have nothing. I got no idea. I couldn't even begin to guess. If we say, okay, did when the Jedi get up from being yeeted, poor Osha, hopefully hopefully she survived her yeet.
She got yeeted into a tree the way Batman got yeeted over Bane's knee. Like she gone. I mean, she not gone, but she gone.
Yeah.
But she not gone, but she gone.
So so my wonder is, now we've seen this move before when May did it to Saul and um Yord, and when all the dust cleared, she was just gone.
Hmm.
And then they went on about the business. So is this same thing gonna happen? Is once dust clears and they look up, is the evil guy gone now? And then they just go back to the ship, go back to Coruscant, like, hey, we got some shit going down. My man's just dead. Oh, she got yeeted. May's over here. Listen, I'm turning in my lightsaber. I'm gone because this shit is crazy. This is too much for me. You know,
Add my crystal to the arch.
so so I don't know where this is gonna go. It, I got nothing. I wouldn't be shocked if episode 5, which we've all heard is the episode of the season that everyone's going to be talking about. I wouldn't be surprised if that turns into the what we talked about before, the Kurosawa. It goes back and shows everything from a different point of view. There's that.
There are still some scenes from the trailers that we got where we do see Kelnaka running, jumping, and coming down on Torben, which
Right,
could be how he got the eye.
right. That would have to be, because he did have that scar on his eye last week at the end of the episode when they were leaving.
Yes.
Um, and there was never any, and of course he had it when we saw him taking a marriage vow. And there's no hasn't been any explanation on how he got it, so
Yeah.
we're probably gonna see that.
So, thinking of all of this, I might have a theory.
Uh-oh. Theory time, theory time.
So, what I think went down was the Jedi went back to SEAL Team 6 OSHA out of the Coven. What I think happened was Zabrak Witch, Pointy
Mm-hmm.
Witch, um, or there was the Coven Mother Anaseo tried to stop them. They got into a fight.
Mm-hmm.
May May ran off to May was told to go see Osha and be with Osha while the Jedi were in the temple. May then took that chance to light the flame, light the fire, and burn it. Meanwhile, the Jedi and the witches got into it. Zabrak ended up turning on the Coven or turning on Mother Anaseo at least. So there was a civil war a bit between them. And then
Mm-hmm.
the Jedi came in, and that's when Kelnaka was put under the influence of that dark side. I go black power
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. And then they start fighting, and all of that was plays into the guilt of all of them because at this point in the High Republic, they're so concerned with their whole motto is for light and life, where it's constantly repeated how while it may be necessary to kill, it always weighs more and more on each person every time they take a life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where then there's all of that senseless death of the entire coven, whether or not they agreed with them. There's that senseless death that was provoked by the Jedi being there to scout everything out. And I think that's going to be the crux of everything going sideways. And then you see Mama Zabrak with the helmet, and she's the Dark Jedi.
Interesting theory. I would not be shocked if it is her. Although she carried both kids, so maybe she yeeted Osha just to get her out of the way
To
so that
save
she
her
can then,
because she knew
yeah,
Osha would try to fight with the Jedi.
yeah.
Oh,
Interesting.
we didn't see where Osha landed.
Nah.
We
She
saw
could have
Osha
landed on one of
there.
them slug bugs
Yeah, we
things.
saw Osha there, and then she wasn't there.
Whoop.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's my working theory right now. Am I gonna be pissed if it doesn't come true? Honestly, no. I'm gonna
Nah.
be a little happy because my dumbass should not be able to predict the fallout of that. Like, don't make me the predictor here.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
And if I am, Dave Filoni, hi, at Life of Criley 28 on Instagram. Click the links in the bio, get in contact with me, we can talk.
Sign them up. Sign
Um,
them up. Yeah, just as long as the Khmer thing isn't,
yeah,
that would just be too,
two on the nose.
yeah. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. So with all of this, where does this fall? What's our rating and ranking for
Um,
rates and ranks?
I still have it behind 1 and 2 and in front of 3. I think we're somewhere in the 7.2 range, somewhere in there.
I'd say 6.5, 6.8.
Okay. But still better than
Still better than
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Um Episode 5 better bring the punches. I'm trying to help you guys. I want this to be good.
We need a good 10 to 15 minute friggin' all out war with lightsabers and blasters
What people want is Anakin versus Obi-Wan.
and the original on Mustafar.
Yeah, that's what they want.
That's not gonna happen. But
No, but that's what they want, and that's their threshold for anything Star Wars being
ah
moderately not shit.
well, I can't help them with that. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like we always talk about. We just want good story. We want good production value. Bring us something good to want to make us want to keep coming back. This episode looked like it could have been on its way to that again with the beautiful outdoor sets
And I get that massive monstrosity of a entire dome structure that's a programmable green screen where you can put backgrounds around it. I get that that's useful, but you guys are using it way too much. It is so apparent
Yeah.
that it's there. You're Disney. You have the freaking money.
Yeah,
Go
well,
out into the forest, film it.
again, they supposedly spent $180 million on this thing. So um that I like I constantly say, we have too much information. No one should know how much this damn thing costs. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It could cost 180 million, it can cost 1 million.
If
If
it's a
it's
good
good,
story,
if
people
if
will
it's good,
go.
it's good, you know?
Build it, and they will come.
Right. So the whole money thing doesn't even really matter to me. And we can see the difference. We saw a stark difference when it was filmed on a live, lush, green, beautiful set versus dimly lit, phony video wall.
Yeah.
You can see that you it was innovating and brand new when the Mandalorian season 1 came out. And oh, we have this new technology. Look at how we film this show. And then you go back and like, well, shit, that's phenomenal. That's great. That was great then. That's also 4 years ago. So
One of those, it's great, and also it's overused.
yes, 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 we're seeing it a lot now. I think they're using it pretty much for every production they do. Um, I'm not gonna understand. You can use it. You save
You bought
money.
the $150,000 car. You want to drive it a few times.
Right, right. Um, but now we're getting to the point where it's okay, guys.
We're pulling away from the real effects of
Yeah,
what
yeah.
this is.
If and then again, if you wanted to do that, don't have a scene with freaking 10 people in it because they're all standing next to each other. If um if uh if the evil guy had a grenade, they'd all be out.
Yeah. One thermal detonator and they gone.
It's a wrap. So you gotta, those things that you have to take into account and take into consideration. And something I just thought about, that may be a disconnect between writers and direction and production. You know, Perhaps those that wrote the show didn't know that, okay, I'm not going to have a live, wide open scene in the woods. We can film this in the California redwoods. We're going to be on a soundstage. So I've written in 12 people standing around outside of a ship,
Yeah.
but the room is only 10 by 10. So how are we going to play this? So that may also play a part into it. So
Which is then just poor project management. People
what there's
people need to
that
go
that's a
back to
thing? Never
TMP.
heard of it.
Rumor I've heard, it's a trend coming up. Yeah, I think you and I are on the same page with where this falls. We have similar feelings towards the rest of this of it's gotta pull its shit together.
Yeah. And of course Jackie and Ocean need to get a room at some point.
Yes.
All those lovingly eyes and smiles and let's grab a drink and talk about Master Soul when I come back to Coruscant.
And again, where's Yord's Padawan? This is now the second mission that Yord has gone on that like we're just not
Nah.
gonna mention that
Ain't
anymore.
no need to take my Padawan along. Where they do that at? This is a
Even
special
if she
mission.
didn't have lines, she could have been one of the 8 Jedi in the back.
Right. Right. Maybe her makeup was just too much. I'm trying. I got nothing.
You're trying to argue that they couldn't bring them back because someone didn't want to wear makeup, or Disney makeup artists didn't want a Disney makeup?
I got nothing. I'm just making up
That
shit at this
is,
point. I'm just making up shit at this point. I got nothing.
I mean, we all are at this point. Yeah,
I'm taking a bash vow.
I am not the Dark Jedi. This has been another episode of and enjoy. Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
that's it.
here,
That's all we got.
here's to next week getting better for light and life and a better latter half of this season. Yeah.
4 down, 4 to go.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you bearing with us through this. We're not quite at Madam Web yet, but I don't know how far off.
Woo.
Cassandra's the Dark Jedi. Yeah. So, all right, guys, let us know what you think of the episode of The Acolyte Season 1, Episode 4. Let us know what you think. Text us, DM us. Yeah, and let us know what you think of the cast. If you want us to review anything, watch some stuff, and then review it, we are absolutely down to clown on that. I got a few things that I might want to get in the hopper.
All right, let's do it.
So we'll see you guys next week. Talk to you later.
All right, peace.